Hi there, listeners of Illusion. In just a couple of seconds, you're about to hear me say something that's quite controversial for me, and I think it does require a little bit of an explanation. So, this happened once when I was on holiday with my parents in France, around 10 or 11 years of age. We went into a restaurant, and I ordered steak. I didn't find out until many years later that this steak would be any different from any other kind of steak that I had had at that point in my life. So when I say in a few seconds, what I actually mean is I couldn't actually taste the difference. Had I known what it actually was, I wouldn't have chosen it. I didn't make this clear in the podcast, and I feel like I really should have, so I'm adding it now. So hopefully this explains my words a bit better and doesn't make things 10 times worse. Anyway, on with the podcast.
Well, what will probably happen is I'll try and drop my voice, and then so yeah, there we go.
Welcome, listeners of Illusion, to Temporal Discussion, the episode-by-episode Nightmare Retrospective podcast. I'm Martin Harder, and I have a hot take. I actually quite like the taste of horse.
And I'm Kim Stewart-Crossley, and I am basking in the golden glow of setting something technologically correct up. Please rearrange those words until they make sense.
Today we're taking a look at Series 5, Episode 5, which was originally broadcast on CITV on Friday, October the 4th, 1991.
Bryan Adams was still doing everything he did, and he did it for us at the top of the singles charts. By this stage, I think we were all just kind of wishing that he'd let us do it ourselves, quite frankly.
Perhaps as a result of the song being so popular, though, you'll like this, Kim. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves received a bit of a boost this week and was temporarily reinstated as the #1 film in the UK box office.
Back to its correct position.
Yes. Now, Martin O'Doney's not here. He has exploded. So you and I can properly fanboy and fangirl over Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
It's wonderful. It's just a lovely swashbuckly romp.
It is wonderful. It's wonderfully bad as well, but that's what makes it so wonderful.
What was the phrase I used back, way back when, on episode 0, which was just take your brain out for a couple of hours and watch the film. Just enjoy it.
Exactly. And if it weren't for Prince of Thieves, we wouldn't have Men in Tights.
And we love most of Men in Tights, Dave Chappelle aside.
We didn't know any better back then.
You're listening to Temporal Discussion, bringing you the latest news from 1991.
In the news today, Carl Bildt assumed office as Sweden's first Conservative Prime Minister in 61 years, leading a coalition government during a pivotal moment in the nation's history. His administration sought to address Sweden's deepening economic crisis, which was largely fueled by a housing speculation bubble.
With a focus on revitalising the economy, Bildt's government implemented policies aimed at privatisation and deregulation. Ooh. These measures were designed to foster better conditions for businesses and signal a new start for the country as it navigated through turbulent economic times. Not entirely sure privatisation and deregulation is the way to do that.
Conservatives don't change whichever country they're in, do they?
No.
This is from Martin O'Doney. Typically, a capitalist free market created problem gets a solution that is more capitalist free market stuff. The same utter doublethink the coalition government employed in the UK in 2010. Joining the single market can be a problem if your exports are not very competitive because your goods now have to compete directly with those of other countries on the same shelves. So that was risky. History suggests it worked out, though.
Yeah, Sweden seems to be doing all right now.
Yeah.
A central focus of Bildt's premiership was Sweden's path towards European integration. This effort represented a significant shift in national policy as the previous social democratic government had long resisted closer ties with the European Union. It's kind of strange that a conservative government would be pushing towards integration, whereas the conservative government that we had for the last far too long was pushing hard against it.
A stop clock is right twice a day, isn't it? So...
However, in response to mounting economic pressures, the Social Democrats reversed their position and formally applied for EU membership in the summer of 1991. Bildt built on this momentum, framing Sweden's EU aspirations as a strategic step to stabilise the economy and also align the country with broader European markets. I like that theory. It's a good one.
Yeah, so having said that Conservatives are the same the world over, there is some positive to this story. Under Bildt's leadership, Sweden entered a period of profound economic and political transformation. The government's pro-business stance and commitment to European integration reflected a break from the traditional policies, marking a new chapter in Sweden's governance. Despite the challenges, Bildt's coalition aims to position Sweden as a competitive and forward-looking member of the global economy, with EU membership serving as a cornerstone of this vision.
Did we perhaps have a functional Conservative government in a country?
Wow.
A Conservative government that did good? If I wasn't already sitting down, I probably need a little sit down at this point.
Okay, disclaimer for this podcast, it contains political opinions.
And now time turns. The recording light burns. Timeout is gone. The podcast is on.
Greetings! Pickle, before we commence, I think it would be a good idea to remind ourselves of the score.
The score, Master?
Yes, you idiot elf. The score, the state of play, the running total, the current situation.
Oh, that thing. Well, it's 2-0, Master. 2 to the opposition. That's Lord Fear, Goblin Master, other sundry bad sorts. And 0 to the powers that be. That's us and the powers that be. We're the good guys. I think that's the phrase.
Well, if that's correct, I'd just like to know what we're supposed to be good at. Let's hope this latest lot can change the scoreline. Who are they again?
Keighley, Helen and William, Master. All from Northamptonshire, a guiding Sarah. A pledge to redeem the crown, and almost 20 minutes down the path. Still in level 1, Master, but they've taken the defensive path across the causeway. So barring slips, they should make it. Oh, and carrying silver, if you'd like to do the honours.
Yes, might as well. 2-0. Very well. Game on.
Treguard is definitely wasting no time today. After the recap, we get thrown straight into the gameplay. What's interesting is Pickle says that the team have taken the defensive path across the causeway, when in actual fact they have yet to take any path, standing as they are at the very base at the beginning of the puzzle. Is Pickle sort of time travelling in his own brain here?
Possibly, but my theory is that the previous episode was actually cut differently from how they expected.
Oh, okay.
But the other thing is they had already stated about taking the defensive path.
Yeah, they knew about it. They knew what was correct.
So maybe that's what Pickle's talking about.
I prefer time travelling, Pickle. I'm down for it.
Definitely.
Walk forwards. Stop.
Yes.
Okay, now, we're going to take you across the things that could defend you, okay?
The first choice is between a shield and a morning star. The team choose the shield.
Okay, now, can you do a little side step to your right?
The next choice is between a helmet and a sword, and the team go for the helmet.
Okay, now, turn to your right.
Next, a sword and a shield. Shield it is.
Fairly small steps, but keep going, because the pieces are dropping off. Keep going. Okay, keep walking, keep walking. A little side step to your right. Stop. Another one.
Followed by a morning star and a helmet, and the team choose the helmet, and they exit the room successfully.
Stop, sir. There's some colours in front of you. Do you reckon they matter, or do you think we should just... Oh, well, we've got to do something quickly. Sarah, walk forwards. And keep walking. No, stop. Turn slightly to your left, only slightly though.
Yes.
Okay, walk
You must
forwards.
hurry now.
Walk forward, Sarah, hurry. Keep going.
For so far, the causeways, I think they're generating the right amount of tension.
Yeah, I'm not sure I was ever a fan when they started to time it. I kind of like the team being able to do their own manoeuvring, like at their own pace. Like, you know, eventually the blocks are going to fall, and who's to say that they're not going to fall under your feet?
Exactly. The timed one's more like the block and tackle, I suppose. You don't like the block and tackle?
Confession time, it did actually scare me as a kid, because I was like, oh no, what happens if one of those blocks hits them in the head? And it's like the same as happens with everything. We get a bong and they go home. But I was like, oh no, there's blocks flying across the room at head height. And that really, really freaked me out as a kid.
For me, it was more about the falling. I've always hated the sensation of falling.
Sarah, you're on a dragon or something like that. And you looks like you're heading towards a castle, ruins. And there's like green mounds surrounding it. There's a...
I say, what in the underworld do you think you're doing? Stand still when you're stomping about on a dragon's back. Even Smirking Off don't stand for clodhoppers, do you, Smirky? Come on, out with it.
Caution, team. This is Elita, a cavern elf. Not a servant of the opposition. More her own girl, so to speak.
Yes, and she can keep a rude little cow slip.
I love Pickle's delivery here. Rude little cow slip.
I sometimes wonder how much of David Lerner was scripted.
Do you get the impression, though, that Pickle was like, he asked her out and she said no or something?
Yeah, well, either that or like he's actually got some sort of weird crush and therefore has to insult her at every opportunity he gets.
I actually did quite like Alita. I was at that budding age, you know.
I think I was just very much, she'll only be like that until someone gives her a good slap. My Geordie comes out sometimes, what can I say?
The Pickle doesn't hold back when sharing his thoughts on Alita, brought to life by the talented Stephanie Hesp. If her voice sounds familiar, it's likely because she previously charmed audiences as Pixel, the Cornish pixie. While little is known about Hesp's career outside of Nightmare, she did make appearances in a few episodes of Time Busters. Additionally, in 1993, she collaborated with Mark Knight to lead a children's acting workshop at London's Shakespeare Globe Museum, showcasing her dedication to maturing young talent. I was going to go to that, but my mum couldn't get time off work.
Oh, that would have been fun.
In 2005, Stephanie Hesp won the title of Best Female Actress in Nightmare in a discussion forum thread titled The First Official Nightmare Awards on Nightmare.com.
Yep, thoroughly deserved, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so.
And I suppose you're looking for a railway.
Am I?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that just goes to show just how stupid you are. The opposition stuffed those up ages ago to stop dim brains like you from slipping down them. The powers that be have arranged some new ways to change levels, and Smirkanoff's one of them. He's not into free rides, though. So what are you offering?
Sarah offers Alita the bag of silver that she's carrying, which Alita seems to take offence to and refers to Sarah as Facey. William decides to inadvisedly open his mouth again at this point.
Tell her that you've got a friendship as well.
A what?
Friendship.
What?
I wouldn't tell her to take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Fair enough, I suppose. Don't care for it much myself. The dragons never seem to get enough. All right, hand it over. I'll put it with the rest.
William actually has some good ideas, but he's not actually very good at articulating them.
Yes, what is going through head is not falling out of mouth.
Yes.
He's quite an excitable chap, bless him.
They were right to ignore him here.
Bless your heart, William. But yes, they were right to ignore him.
So face ache would become Alita's catchphrase, basically.
It's the enunciation behind it. Face ache.
It's like she could make it mean so many things.
Like she says it like almost affectionately once or twice as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Hello, face ache.
So Alita is definitely not on the side of the opposition, but she's not exactly with the powers that be.
Alita's on Alita's side.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, she's happy with Smirkanoff. She's very much Smirkanoff alignment.
Yeah.
Okay, Sarah, you're sitting on the dragon. Oh, I think it's going to start to fly now. It is starting.
Believe it or not, I've walked on the scales. I really wish I could see. We're flying so high, I hope we don't fail. But could this dragon be? Believe it or not, it's murky.
We can see the castle. It's on like the top of the hill. I think we're coming up from the other direction.
Castle? I hope it's got a dragon pad, Master.
It's funny here, you know. It almost looks like they're flying in a circle. It's sort of when Treguard's very much, go on, describe what's on the screen. And all the advisors are like, oh, you're on a dragon and you're flying. There's not much else you can really say. Oh, we can see the side of him. He's got claws. Bless you. You know, Hugo, I know you're trying to get the passive paths a bit more interactive, but there's not a lot you can say, really.
The advisors rightfully point out that they've actually just landed at the same castle, but we'll just ignore that.
Yes, we'll just push that to one side. I mean, good spot the advisors.
Yeah.
Hiya, listeners of Illusion. Significant first alert, or what? Although she's just become the third Dungeoneer to ride on Smirkanoff at all, Sarah has just become the first Dungeoneer ever to ride Smirkanoff from level 1 to level 2, which is something that's going to happen to a lot of Dungeoneers later in Series 5 and throughout Series 6 and 7. And indeed, there is only one occasion in either of series, once in Series 6, that any other method of travel between levels 1 and 2 than Smirkanoff is used. By the by, this particularly obviously circular Smirkanov flight travels from and to another one of those Welsh castles. As I mentioned in the last episode, there are plenty of Welsh locations in Series 5. And thanks to Annie, I can tell you that this particular nightmare location is Carreg Kennan Castle. And I'm sure I've completely mangled the pronunciation.
Treguard urges Sarah to dismount, and she does so, and she leaves Smirky's back. The passive path takes over. William describes what we're seeing and for once manages to make sense.
The ice shield's guiding you towards a rocky cliffside. There's a wall ahead of you. You're walking along this footpath.
Not the easiest of paths, Master, is it?
Very steep.
So this passive path begins at 7 minutes 35 seconds and ends at 8 minutes 23 seconds. It's ridiculous.
It is. I sort of get the feeling sometimes with this that the advisors are entirely just nonplussed about the whole thing.
Yeah, well, they've worked out at this point that they can't actually control it, that it's just video footage.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks like a steep drop. Watch out for that. Oh, you're not going anywhere near it. Okay.
This ridiculous passive path leads them to the level 2 clue room.
You're in a room. There's stone all around. There's a table, Sarah, sort of to your right. So can you turn a little bit to your right and walk forwards? There's holes in the wall ahead of you. What's on the table?
Sarah has arrived in a room within the ruined castle. It's nondescript apart from its lack of a roof and a few holes in the walls, but is being used in this episode as the level 2 clue room.
Thanks once again to Annie, I can tell you that this is part of Keighley Castle. Yes, you guessed it, that's another Welsh one.
On the table are a pie, #knapsacked, a bar of gold, a small statuette and a scroll.
Should we open the scroll?
Yeah.
Sarah, open the scroll. See what it says.
Take 1 step forward, 2 steps right.
Hang on.
This is surely some sort of clue, Master.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Yeah, Pickle's talent for stating the blatantly obvious here is clearly unmatched.
So having noted down the clue, the team debate what to take.
And I'm sorry, it's a statuette. It's not a statue.
It's like a real statue, but small, like I'm a real person, but small.
Well, what is a statue of?
Sarah, what's the statue of? Is there any writing?
It's a knight with a dragon round his legs, and he looks as if he's about to draw his sword.
A knight, Master.
St. George, maybe?
It could be, but it's quite a small dragon round his legs, so...
They start talking about what the statuette's of.
Yeah. There is a real reason for this debate about what to take because it doesn't really scream chess piece to me.
No, it doesn't. It's not so much chess piece as like ornament. I mean, I got like what Helen was saying about that it might be someone's token.
Yeah.
Calling card or some such. But also it looks quite nice and like someone might have robbed it.
Yeah.
Well, listeners, I hope you were paying close enough attention last time to remember me mentioning the scroll clue here as the first object clue ever encountered on a scroll. Take 1 step forward, 2 steps right. That is, of course, the knight's move, or a knight's move, in chess. And it's supposed to be a clue to take the chess piece. Trouble is, of course, as has already been discussed, it really doesn't look like a chess piece. Unlike the Bishop of the Black Monastery in Series 2, you don't look at it and think, chess piece, looks like a chess piece. It doesn't. It looks like a statuette of a knight with a small dragon round its legs. There's really nothing obvious visually to link this particular clue object to the rest of its chess set, and in the absence of its fellow chessmen, the team are never going to click that it's part of a chess set, no matter how significantly Pickle says a knight master. It would help if there was some indication of a horse. How's he supposed to jump over the other pieces?
What do the little horsey guys do?
Beats me.
What in the heck with it? Let's just toss a coin.
With this very un-chess-like statuette and that ridiculously obscure clue, I think it was far too much to hope that anyone would think, a knight from a chess set. I better take that.
William goes with he doesn't think the glove is any use, but he repeatedly refuses to explain why. Classic William.
And I think Helen at this point is really getting fed up with his...
She is done.
Yeah.
But she's just like, why? I don't know. It just might not be any use. But why?
No, just take the gold. Yeah, but what do you think? Why? Why? I don't think the glove is in use. Yeah, but why? I mean, it's all right and good taking them, but why? I don't want them.
Well, I think you better decide. So you've got a glove, gold, and the knight.
Eventually, the team decide to take the gold and the statuette, so it appears that William got his own way. Once they are both in hand, the team exit via passive path.
It's like I say, a lot of the time I think William is right, but he's just really at getting his point across.
Yeah, I think sometimes he has more enthusiasm than eloquence.
Yeah.
Yes, we are aware these are children.
And I suppose, again, it's Martin's Law of the Dungeon.
Yeah.
The knight statue is clearly ostentatious enough to be the thing that you need to take.
So yes, this passive path takes them to, I quote Martin O'Doney, the imaginatively named Stag Head Room.
It's a room. It's got a stag's head in it.
It took me a while to clock the stag head, I'm not going to lie.
Otherwise, got no other real descripting features. It's quite grand. It's quite a nice room.
But also in this room is a monk.
Right, so you're in a room, and to your right slightly, there's a man sitting at the table with, looks like a chessboard in front of him, with the same colour statue as what you've holding.
Sarah, the man's a monk.
Right.
Can you see the stool?
Ah, greetings, Peregrinator. Come, take a seat.
And the monk is obviously Brother Mace. And because I know that you were burning to ask the question, Kim.
Indeed.
A peregrination is an extended voyage or period of roaming. Peregrination is derived from the Latin peregrinare, which means to travel abroad. A peregrination is a journey or pilgrimage, particularly one undertaken on foot. The term often refers to travelling over an extended amount of time or over a long distance. So it's actually quite an appropriate term. At least it's not calling her Regina this time.
Sarah enters the room and then sits at the desk with the monk.
Greetings. Are you ready for our game?
Yes.
Yes.
As you see, there is one piece missing, but I assume you have not been so foolish. There he
Okay, give it to him, Sarah.
Come.
That's it.
My foolish wandering knight. There. Now then, for the purposes of this game, and strictly for this game only, you understand, I shall be the opposition, and you are the powers that be. As you can see, it is the pawn's move, for you understand that you are only a pawn in this game, whereas I'm not even a bishop, no. Only a lowly tavern monk. Oh, well. This is one of the opposition's pawns, a Master Sylvester Hands. Ugh. And he has stolen something. He's always stealing things. It is one of the keys to Merlin's magic box. For though Merlin is no longer with us, some of his spells are still around. Well, he was always leaving things lying around. Silly old fool. Now then, pawns move, pawn takes, pawn. There. You understand, of course? Now I think it's time for you to return to your own game.
So, having been thoroughly confused by Mace's tendency not to use 3 words when 12 will do, the team ask the monk what he knows about the crown. Again, to use a word that I used before, he looks entirely nonplussed about the whole thing. He replies that it lies deep within the dungeon. They ask if he wants them to look for the key, and he tells them that they will not progress much further without it. The team then guides Sarah out, making sure she says goodbye.
Say goodbye to the monk.
Bye.
Bon chance, my wanderer.
Stop. Turn to your left. Walk forwards.
I love a polite team.
Yes.
It's kind of adorable as an adult, but I just remember my parents being, oh, look at that, they're really polite. And I appreciated it as well because, you know, manners are a thing.
I may have mentioned this a few times before. I love Michael Kuehl. He's such a decent bloke.
He's brilliant. Obviously, I have heard the episode with him on. He seems like a really nice guy. All of his characters are just brilliant. Brother Mace was always a proper favourite of mine, ever since the bonk on head, the silencer. That was one of my favourite things, particularly the fact he missed.
Right, Sarah, you can see through the eye shield now, and you're just walking along some grass. Looks like
We can hear a horse behind you, galloping, I think.
There's a rider coming, Master. Oh, hurry them on. It must be a fright night.
Sarah.
But I hate them.
Sarah, there's a man come on. He's riding a white horse.
Tarantara! Hello, hello! 'Tis Bolts a Hugh to rescue you!
Oh, not a fright night, Pickle, but someone pretty frightful if you're trying to get on with an adventure. Team, this idiot is aptly named Sir Hugh de Witless. He was rude to Hordris the Confuser, and Hordris put an enchantment on him. It compels him to go around rescuing people, whether or not they want to be rescued.
This is one of my favourite moments of the entire episode.
I love this guy. He's great.
Arriving spectacularly on the back of an actual live horse, and it's a gorgeous horse. So Hugh de Witless makes his first appearance in the show. So Hugh is the second character to be played by Mark Knight, who is clearly having a good time with the character. After dismounting, Sir Hugh sends his horse, Neddy, away, presumably to all over the studio, and addresses Sarah directly.
Where did they put the horse? He dismounted. Off you go. I love the horse, but even as a kid, I was like, I know this is filmed in a room.
I think they literally did have to send it off so it didn't just poo everywhere.
Okay, I was hoping to edit my way around this one, but no, an explanation is clearly required. Those of us who are familiar enough with back issues of the Quest newsletter to know that in interview the Puka revealed that his first series was Series 4 are also well aware that the horse was never in the same studio with the Dungeoneer, or indeed with Mark Knight. That's not Mark Knight riding the horse on, it's somebody else wearing Sir Hugh's costume and handling the horse on the special filming day before any of the teams got anywhere near Anglia Television Studios. All 4 times Sir Hugh rides onto the screen, dismounts and sends Neddy off. It's exactly the same footage played over and over again from that preparation filming day, and indeed they filmed Neddy and his handler in a crowd scene for use in Wolfenden. At the same time, keep your eyes peeled for that during any Wolfenden sequence in Series 5. And yes, of course, it was on this preparation filming day that the horse did not show any restraint in following the call of nature wherever it happened to be in the Anglia Television building at the time. Well, it's a horse, isn't it? It hasn't had the same upbringing and training as the actors, Dungeoneers and advisors. So yes, it's liable to make a bit of a mess if it feels the need.
Hello. What's your name?
Sarah.
Jolly good, Sarah, dear heart. Now, I'm the boat's... Oh, excuse... Neddy, stay, Neddy. It's a dashed fine horse over there. Just served me well in a dashed bruising joust I had with this strange fellow I met. It didn't have any arms or legs, this chap. Fought like a paladin, though. And when it was all over, all that was left was some bits of armour and so on. Still, I made the best of it, and I ate his horse. Dashed tasty animal.
Liza Keighley does not flinch at all at this remark. The camera's like right up on her and she just stares blankly.
Yeah, she's missed the joke.
Or she's well used to chowing down on a bit of sugar.
Tesco burgers.
Yes.
Weirdly, I've eaten horse jerky because someone showed up to the LARP event with it. It's like, oh, do you want some jerky? Yeah, eats. Oh, yeah, it's horse, sorry.
Well, look, I can't stay here blathering all day. Obviously, you want to be rescued, and I'm the chap. I'll rescue you. All right, then. Huh?
Tell him that you need the password to level 2 to be rescued. You're going to die if you haven't got it.
What?
What you want? Yeah, but he might not know anything about the password. Well,
it does prove that he hasn't been listening because there are clearly more pressing matters right now than the password. Helen is done. At this point, she's just glaring at him, almost daring him to open his mouth. I mean, I feel sorry for the poor lad because, like you say, he does generally have good ideas.
Yeah.
But I think he's sort of defaulted to maybe like computer game logic where you ask every character about everything.
What I'm going to do, you see, is I'm going to rescue you because there's all sorts of dangers in the woods here. And what you need is a bit of rescuing, don't you? I'll rescue you and I'll take you all the way back where you've come from. What do you feel about that, eh?
So the team try to persuade Sir Hugh that they're on a quest and they don't actually need rescuing, but they manage to convince him to escort them for a while because it's a little bit like rescuing, isn't it? And he agrees on the condition that they will call for him if they do need rescuing. Sarah agrees wholeheartedly. Sir Hugh leads her through the nearby portal.
Just gonna abandon your horse then.
Neddy's just gonna go and have a graze, it's fine. I think I was maybe a bit strange about this when I was young, because my first thought was they've debuted this guy where there's a damsel in distress distress. And as it turns out, he tries to rescue everyone and everything. But I was sort of like, are you saying she needs rescuing just because she's a girl? But no.
Yeah, it's Hordris has put a curse on him.
So he has to rescue literally everyone, possibly up to and including his own horse. As it turns out, the portal leads to farmhouse exterior.
This is jolly good, isn't it? It's like rescuing.
Sarah, you're in a farmhouse. There's a barrel ahead of you and it looks like some food.
Yeah, there's some cheese, and there's another one of those glasses.
Oh, well, put the cheese in your bag.
Hashtag knapsacked. I find this upcoming spyglass sequence particularly interesting for a couple of reasons. Hopefully you remember from the previous episode how I was talking about those scene-setting spyglass sequences rather than information-giving spyglass sequences that we get in Series 5, particularly quite early on. And this is very much one of them. What it reveals to us and to the team, we already know. To boil it down to its most basic terms, this spyglass sequence contains Lord Fear telling us exactly the same thing that Brother Mace has already told us in a slightly different way. Sylvester Hans has purloined the key to Merlin's magic box. I do think this goes to show how spyglass sequences are very much still finding their feet in Nightmare. In the future, any scene setting that they do is very much accompanied by new useful information that's relevant to the quest. And really, from Series 6 onwards, you'd never get the situation where a character is the one who reveals something first, and then the spyglass sequence reiterates it. They leave all that kind of information to the spyglass sequences themselves, because really, that's what they're there for. The scene that this one does set, though, the wider context it gives, I do think is rather interesting. It seems that Lord Fear is pretty keen on getting hold of Merlin's magic, or some of Merlin's magic. Perhaps he wants to use it himself in some way. Perhaps he just wants to prevent Sarah from getting hold of it and using it against Skarkill. But either way, this really is the only direct, tangible link between Merlin and Lord Fear in Nightmare itself. And that is certainly enough to make it a point worthy of note in my book.
Should I pick the glass up?
Yeah, put it in front of the eye shield. Hold it up. Okay, we can see through the spyglass.
Hans. Answer me, Hans, you miserable little creep. I know you can hear me. You know that I know that you have purloined something that I want. Now just hand it over. There's a good little thief, and you will be well rewarded. That is, you'll be allowed to live. What's that? Security alert. Someone is using a spying device on me. Well, just keep watching, little friends. Silence away.
Put it down, Sarah.
Just
Put it down, that's it.
burnish me. Quickly. This is getting exciting. It's just like a real rescue. I told you you'd need rescuing.
And he's getting very excited, bless him.
He's like, yeah, it really is like a proper rescue.
Oh, he's great.
With goblins approaching, he offers to stay near the farmhouse to make sure that Sarah can get away safely. As he draws his sword, Sarah exits through the passive path and into the farmhouse.
Of course, there are no prizes for guessing, but both the exterior and interior of this farmhouse can be found at the Weald and Downland Living Museum in West Sussex, very close to the border with Hampshire, incidentally. The exterior, with the path going up to it, is actually the back of a very familiar Wolfenden house you can see throughout Series 5 and 6. The next time we'll see that front of the house is in episode 7, that's in a couple of episodes' time, with Julius Scaramanga sitting outside and Ben desperately trying to persuade him to part with a green stone.
Sarah, stop. You're in a small room, there's a man ahead of you and he's like stuffing his face. There's a barmaid beside him. He's asking her for wine. It looks like an inn or a public place.
The serving maid inside the farmhouse guides Sarah to a seat by the table and sits her down. Sly Hans then begins leering over her, and he does. Oh, nice hair. Ooh.
Oh, it's one of them. Handsome, innit? Oh, it's got some lovely clothes, lovely hair. Oh, but it's all on its own without protection.
Sly always calls the Dungeoneers it. Do you think it helps him not to think of them as human?
Potentially, because either way, he's going to be doing something obnoxious
Yeah.
to the Dungeoneer at some point. Be it, robbing, pushing down a pit, turning over to Lord Fear, whatever.
Yeah. You think it's it rubs the lotion on its skin situation?
If you want to put it like that, I would go with a depersonalization situation.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
I don't think Sylvester Hand has ever rubbed any lotion on his skin.
No. Mud, possibly.
This is actually one of my favourite Sylvester Hand scenes because he's not quite at the point of a bumbling idiot at the moment.
No, he's leery and he's creepy and he's what he should have always been.
I mean, I've got no problem with the bumbling idiot. Paul Valentine actually does it really well.
Yeah.
But he's actually frightening here. And Nightmare should be frightening.
Like Catacomb Bite frightening.
Yes. Sarah asks Sly what his name is, and he tells her, and like feet, but on the other end of your body.
I love that.
That became his catchphrase, really, didn't it?
Yeah.
And when he made a single half-hearted attempt in Series 8 to update it to hands like feet, only without boots on, I think we all died inside a little bit, even if we didn't realise it at the time.
He offers to sell her a map of level 2, which he claims was hand-drawn by a sorcerer. Quite what someone with a blindfold on would want with a map, I don't know.
Peek at it underneath the helmet.
Yeah. She says she'd rather have a key and could pay him well if he has one. Sly asks what she has to offer, and she shows him the bar of gold.
He then grumbles about how she drives a hard bargain on it. Mate, you're getting a bar of solid gold. Shut up.
What you got to pay me then?
Show me the gold.
This bar of gold.
Oh, you drives an hard bargain. Poor Sly if he has to deal with the likes of you every day. Poor Sly who's been robbed and taken advantage of. Yeah.
Sly asks Sarah for the gold, but Sarah is having none of it. She wants the key first. He is at this point kind of almost dangling it under her nose, not that she can see that. Sly puts the key on the table and the team are still quite wary and they ask him what it is for. Sly replies that it's the key to the portal, which is still a bit cryptic. The team say that they want the key to a chest, and Sly quickly changes tack and tells them that this key is the very key that they're searching for.
This, my darling, is the very key.
Yeah.
You interested?
Yeah.
Right.
The team honestly don't have much other choice, so they agree to the deal. They #knapsack a bread roll and exit through a door at the back of the room.
I will make #knapsack the thing.
I mean, you made knapsack to things, so why not #knapsacked?
You're in a room and we can see the hexagons again. It's another floor puzzle. Yes. And there's a group of hexagons, okay? And there's like, it's almost like in a diamond shape. And above the door, there's like a code. It says, sun goes to the earth, then goes to these squiggles. So we presume that's the path you've got to take.
The symbols that Helen describes as sun, earth, and squiggles actually represent fire, earth, and water.
Let our powers combine. Earth, fire,
Wind, water,
heart, go planet!
By your powers combined, I am Captain Planet!
Sun, earth, and squiggles.
Just a couple of wavy lines. Sorry, this isn't your lucky day.
I'd follow that, Could probably make a reasonably good song out of it at some point.
Before the team have any time to really think about the puzzle, though.
Phase shift approaching, Master. They'll have to get a shift on.
Too late, Elf. In fact, these elf warnings are always too late, if you ask me. They're frozen in time with no place to go. As well as earth, fire, and water, we now have ice. Well, will Sarah, Helen, Keighley, and William brave the elements and cross the causeway? Will the opposition be brought down, or will it be Sarah who takes the tumble? Join us again to find out. But be sure to bring your friends, for this is no place to visit alone.
It's quite appropriate that this episode began with a causeway and ended with a causeway, I think.
They're still playing with the causeway like it's a shiny new toy, though.
It's their big thing at the moment. It's probably their most technologically advanced thing, at least the most flashy thing that they can use in every level.
I think in a couple of episodes, I am thoroughly bored of causeways.
I guess. I still like them, though.
They're really good, but I lament the loss of things like combat chess.
Yes, combat chess was a classic.
The credits roll over footage of the boatman ferrying Sarah across the lake.
So, thoughts on the episode?
It was quite exciting in its own way. I know that there's obviously far too much passive path going on still.
Yeah.
But, you know, Sly was creepy, Smirky had a nice little fly, and I'm always happy when we get to see Alita insult somebody. Normally because she's so creative about it.
It's not a bad episode at all, but most of the entertainment comes from Helen increasing its aspiration. Keighley is still just a non-element. She might as well not be there, in my opinion.
It's sort of, you've got Helen being the main advisor, you've got William being glared at by Helen, Keighley is also there.
The Nightmare Spectrum game, you had two advisors. One always told the truth and one always lied. That's Helen and William.
Yes. He wasn't obnoxious or malicious. He played too many computer games.
Yeah, it just comes out with such random stuff.
Sarah, hide the knife somewhere.
Hide the knife?
Yeah.
If you'd enjoyed the podcast, please give us a rating and a review on your platform of choice. It really helps us to grow our audience by reaching others who might be interested.
You can follow us on Blue Sky at nightmarepod.bsky.social, and our Mastodon is topspicy.social/@nightmarepod.
We're also Nightmare Pod on Threads and Twitter. I refuse to call it X. And our Instagram is Temporal Discussion.
If you want to support the podcast, we're Nightmare Pod on Patreon.
And speaking of Patreon, here's a shout out to keepers of the Book of Quests, David N. Rabbit, Paul McIntosh, Peter Pulsford, and Scott Evans.
Advisors, Benjamin Bloom, David Thompson, Kim Harder, which is a silly surname, Kim Stewart-Crossley, who's she, Lord Entropy, where the O is a 0, Paul Craddy, Peter Sidorn, and Pig Venus. That is my bestie, my work bestie.
And let's not forget Dungeoneers Peter Corridge, Dan Heath, and Adam Battersby.
Support us on Patreon at Dungeoneer level or above to get your name mentioned on the podcast. Higher level perks also receive merchandise, have access to exclusive episodes, and if you pledge as the keeper of the Book of Quests, we'll even offer you the chance to be a guest on the podcast.
Our website is nightmarepod.co.uk.
If you're looking for Temporal Discussion merchandise, including t-shirts, stickers, and other products, it's at nightmarepod.redbubble.com.
You can email us at podcast@nightmarepod.co.uk.
And just keep telling yourself, it's only a podcast.
Isn't it?
So Jake's going to have fun with this if he's editing it, isn't he?
Yes.